Today, we're talking about Uma Thurman.
No.
We're not?
No.
Well, okay then. Welcome back, everybody. This is Burnt on Religion, the podcast for those who have been burnt, who are currently burning, and those who are trying to avoid being burnt. I am Ashton, and I'm going to share a little secret with you guys. Back in my day, when I wanted to communicate with people, I actually had like a little flip phone because I thought it was cool. It's like those old school Nokia phones, you know? That's how I communicated with people. Rusty, how'd you do it? Was it like dial-up phone?
No, I talked to folks.
You talked?
Yeah.
Josh, did you have tablets?
No.
Like Stone?
There's the introduction. There it is right there. Thinking we were having a conversation, but no, that's the introduction. Stone tablets. No, that is not how I communicated with
Did you
people.
get carpal tunnel from... Ching ching.
You want me to show you how I didn't communicate with people? That one's a coming.
Boots are
Yeah.
coming.
Well, by the way, you were totally wrong. We are not talking about Uma Thurman today.
Ma'am.
We are going to talk about the Urim and the Thummim today. So close.
Say that 10 times.
I'm having a hard time saying it one time. So this is a topic that is not widely known among people. How many sermons have you heard on the Urim and the Thummim?
Not a one.
Not one. Seriously, not even one.
Seriously, not one.
Has it ever been brought up in church at all in your history?
Not to my recollection, no.
They just avoided all the passages about this.
Yeah, as far as I can remember. And of course, I'm getting older, but
Right?
yeah,
You're not that old.
I don't think my memory is that far gone yet.
How about you, Ashton? Did you hear any sermons?
No.
Any Bible stories?
Something? No.
Anything about this?
No.
Were these
There's
okay?
none.
How about this? Were these words in your vocabulary at all until we looked into this for an episode on Burnt on
I
Religion?
mean, if I wanted to talk like that priest off of, was it Spaceballs, when they're trying to do the marriage?
The evil
Marriage?
I think that's Princess Bride.
Bride,
Was it
yeah.
Princess Bride?
Yeah.
It was in the...
I don't know. I know it's Princess Bride.
Bride?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Princess Bride.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
There you have it.
Wov twu wov. Is that what you're referring to? I guess
You need to preach like that.
Yeah, I'm not preaching
That's what you need to do.
I don't have all the garb. I can't do it. The pressure's too high. And I have done a wedding. I did have a wedding one time where the bride asked me to start the whole ceremony out like that guy off of Princess Bride.
Really?
And she begged me to do it, and the groom did not know at all. So we're in a hotel. That's where the wedding was, and it was in the foyer, and the acoustics were amazing. And I stood up there, and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't do this. She begged me to do it. I'm like, I'm not a proud man. Let's do it. So I stood up there, and that's why I was able to quote it, is because it was part of, I had to memorize that. And I stood up there and like, marriage! And the groom just looked at me like, what is going on? And I went through the whole bit, and he's just like, what is going on? And the bride's just laughing. And then I said, by the way, you guys already need counseling. This is how you're starting. So yes, I guess if you're going to talk like that guy, the Urim and Thummim might actually come. Yeah, that might be what it sounds like. I'm not sure, but we could try it. Or you get your bee sting on your tongue. One or the other, it's going to come out with these words here. But other than your peach impediment stories, have you ever heard of these words? Were they part of your vocabulary at all?
No, I can't say. I cannot say.
Did you read about them? Now we're going to get into the deep, dark, back alley versions of their Bible reading as children. Any of you read the Bible? because this is in it.
So he's judging Josh.
The judging and the shaming. Either of you ever read about this?
Not to my knowledge.
It's confession hour, boys and girls.
To be completely honest, no.
I do
Not that I can
regularly.
remember either.
Okay, all right. Well, there we go, folks. Rusty and Ashton, they don't read their Bibles.
I learned by osmosis. I slept on that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? No, honestly, even if you did read it, why would you absorb this? What is that? What is it talking about? So that's what we want to talk about today is the Urim and the Thummim, which is just sounds like we're making up noises here. Just ridiculous sounds. So this, I would love to see this. This is actually something that was used in the Bible in the Old Testament. I would love to see this used. And we can't explain everything. We can only give you what Scripture gives us on this. But I would love to see this whole process of the Urim and the Thummim in action. I would like to know what, how they did it, how you got answers, stuff like that. So this is basically, it's an old covenant thing. It was under the old covenant. And this is how God answered the people with a sign that the people could know this is from God. Okay, that's the idea here. How does this topic belong to a burnt on religion podcast though? Urim and the Thummim. I've been burnt on religion many times on that topic. Not very many people are going to say this.
No.
Okay, so how do we tie this into being burnt on religion? This is one of those things that sound very new age. And if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, God used a new age process or a new age method in the Bible, so I'm going to go ahead and look at my mood ring and I'm going to say, what should I do based on the color of the mood ring, or maybe a magic 8-ball or a horoscope or anything like that. They can say, hey, God did it. Why can't I do it?
Let's consult the crystal ball here.
Exactly. So if somebody were to say, hey, by the way, I don't want your Christianity because you put down what I do, and it looks like that topic's in your Bible and God condoned it, suddenly those people don't approach our God and don't want anything to do with us because we're uneducated about the things in our own Bibles, in our own book. So it's good to dive into these topics because you never know when one's going to come up. Somebody walks up to you and is like, hey, let me talk to you about the Urim and the Thummim. You're either going to say, okay, I know something about it, or you're probably going to say, let's get you to the hospital because I don't think those are real words.
You smell
It sounds like you're in pain.
Right. It sounds like you're in pain, yeah. So here's a question. Have you guys ever prayed and wanted an answer from God and it just didn't seem like he was listening or it felt like he was distant?
All the time.
All the time.
Okay, all right. So what if I said, you know what, this is what God's going to do for you. Go home, shake that magic 8-ball, and whatever the answer is, that's what God said. And you're like, oh, okay.
Where do I get the 8-ball?
Yeah, well, just Walmart, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, just go to Walmart. Chances are, if I told you that, you would probably think I was out of my mind because this isn't a process or a system we use today at all. So you would probably go, seriously, I'm praying about this thing and you're telling me to go shake a magic 8-ball and find out if it says yes, definitely, or absolutely not, or whatever comes up on those screens?
Well, essentially, that's what it sounds like.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, it sounds like, maybe I should pick a different profession. Yeah, because this is, that's crazy talk, right?
yeah.
Magic 8-ball is a toy that you can get from stores. That's what Magic 8-ball is. You shake it and that little thing moves on the inside and it'll stop on one of those sides. And there's your answer. But I would not base my itinerary on that because that plastic ball doesn't know anything. But we have something similar like that in the Old Testament. And this is the Magic 8-ball of the Bible right here. The Urim and the Thummim, not Uma Thurman. Yeah, that's right. But if you don't know who she is, then I don't know. She's an actress. She was on movies. You're welcome. So we're going to need to explain this topic because this is where we run into the New Age conflict and the New Age Christianity conflict right here when we say, hey, look what God did in the Old Testament. That's close to what I believe, so My God is your God. And then we have a conflict. So we need to explain what's going on here. The Urim and the Thummim were objects that they kept in the high priest's breastplate of judgment. That's what it was. So he would wear this thing. It's also known as the ephod. It would be that breastplate that he would wear. We don't know exactly what these things did. We just know they provided answers. Okay? They would be like stones that they would have in the ephod. The Urim, the word Urim means lights. Okay? And the word Thummim means perfection or completeness. So you use these stones to predict, or not predict, but to give you answers from God. We got some verses to show you where this stuff is located in the Bible. We're not just making up sounds and you're like, I don't know if that's really in the Bible. We're going to show you it is. But there's a whole process here. There's a whole use for these stones, the Urim and the Thummim. And to get to know what this was like in the Bible will also clear up a character of God. Okay, so let's dive into that. Exodus 28:33. And you shall put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim. It's right there on the page. It's right there. It's in the Bible. And they shall be over Aaron's heart when he goes in before the Lord. So Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel over his heart before the Lord continually. These two stones were used to inquire of the Lord. That's what it is. Yes or no answers, or either or answers. That's it. Yes or no, or either or. That's all we have. Like, who do we pick for our leader? Should we go to war or should we not go to war? How should we divide the land? Either or yes or no answers. That's all it was for. That's it. And here's a couple of examples of how it was used in the Bible. In Numbers, God was setting up how Joshua, the leader after Moses, the one that Moses put in leadership, how he would get specific go or no-go guidance on national decisions, okay? So should we go or should we not go? Yes or no, either or. That's what it was used for. Numbers 27, verse 21. He shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall inquire before the Lord, for him, I can't read today, before the Lord, for him by the judgment of the Urim. Okay, that's one of those things in the ephod. At his word they shall go out, and at his word they shall come in. He and all the children of Israel with him, all the congregation. So Joshua is going to go before the priest Eleazar and say, should we fight or should we not fight? Eleazar. And Eleazar's like, hold on just a second. Let's consult
Hold up.
the Urim and the Thummim. Yeah, hold on. Let me check the magic 8-ball in theory, but that's not, seriously, it's not the toy at Walmart. So he consults the Urim and the Thummim, and they cast these things or whatever they're going to do with these things, and they would get the verdict of yes, go into war or don't go into war based on what happened with those stones. Okay? And God does set up this process. That sounds wackadoo in the new covenant age. Like us, it sounds like getting a magic 8-ball or, I don't know.
It's like the guy you see with the flower going, she loves me not. She loves me.
Exactly. I hope it ends on the she loves me pedal.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, she loves me not. It sounds like the same process. Sure. So in the Old Testament, God used the she loves me not method to give answers. So it almost seems like it's just not serious. There's no way this can be protocol. But it was. God did use this. And sometimes it got a little tricky. In 1 Samuel 28, King Saul, he became defiant towards God by the end of his kingship. He at first it says he was a man that was head and shoulders above everybody else. Everybody wanted him to be king, and God's like, fine, go ahead and do it. God wanted to be their king. They actually didn't need a king. God was their king, but they said, no, we want a king like the other nations have. So they end up picking Saul, and Saul starts out pretty good. He starts out fine. But towards the end, he gets defiant towards God. The position gets to his head. He's I am man, hear me roar stage of his kingship. And now he's about to face the Philistines, and he is terrified. He wants to know, they're gonna devour me over there. I want to know what to do. So he runs back to the Urim to get answers from God. Okay, this is what's happening in this account here. He runs back and is like, okay, I'm gonna have to find out, should I go or should I not go? So he goes back to where the Urim and the Thummim would be. 1 Samuel 28:6 says, and when Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him either by dreams or by Urim or by the prophets. God's like, we're not talking.
So he got ghosted by God.
He got Holy Ghosted. Yeah.
He got Holy Ghost.
Yeah. So, dreams, God would communicate with dreams. You see Joseph, the coat of many colors story. You see that in the Bible, where God would communicate with dreams, or he would use the Urim. He would use the Urim, or he would use the prophets. He would communicate through prophets. And Saul goes and he says, "Hey God, I need to inquire of you." And it says that he did not answer him. God did not answer him either by dreams, by Urim, or by the prophets. So Saul's like, is this thing on? Where are you, God? I don't know where you are at all. Because of Saul's disobedience, God gives no answer at all. So it's not just, so the system's bigger than heads and tails.
Yeah.
It's not like flipping a coin. Yes, I should go, heads I go, tails I stay. It's not that simple, because whatever this is set up to do, Saul receives no answer. At least a coin, you get one.
Yeah.
With the flower petal method, you get, she either loves you or she doesn't.
Sure.
It's scientific way to figure that out is the flower.
It's 50-50 odds.
Right. It's going to be one or the other.
Sure.
And what Saul is asking for is yes or no, or either or. That's what he's inquiring of the Lord. And he doesn't get a yes or a no, or an either or nor. He doesn't get any of it. He gets no answer at all. So something signified an answer more than heads or tails or the flower petal method.
Sure.
So with those two systems, we're still way off. It's not the same as what they were doing here. Okay. So there's something going on with these stones, and I wish I had a way to explain exactly how it worked, but we don't have that in Scripture. The Bible doesn't tell us. It's just they went back, they consulted the high priest. The high priest would take out the Urim and the Thummim, and I don't know what they did with those, but it gave him an answer, a yes, or it gave him an answer, no, or apparently it says,
No answer.
I'm not talking to you. Right. We're not talking. And by that point, God wasn't just Holy Ghosting Saul. Saul's time was over.
Sure.
And it was about to go to David, and God's like, no, I've said all I need to say. And he's not communicating with Saul at this point, which has got to be a horrible thing. I got to go fight the Philistines right now, and could use a little guidance. God's like, good luck. Do it or don't do it. So it's not a good scenario for Saul. Go ahead.
No.
Okay.
I'm just contemplating that. I was like, yeah, you're kind of hanging out there in the wind. Yeah.
Because the one form of communication you have is dreams, prophets, or the Urim and the Thummim. And the prophets have nothing, no good dreams.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's not much room for interpretation when it comes to the Urim and the Thummim. That's a yes or no. You've got a direct.
Yes.
Okay, God, am I supposed to go this way? Yes.
Right.
Go that way.
And
No.
something within the process told you it was a divine answer, which means it wasn't a party trick.
Yeah.
It wasn't a heads or tails situation. Something lets you know that God is the one that orchestrated that, because he set up the whole thing.
Sure.
So when you get nothing, you're like,
Well, yeah,
What
whenever
do I do?
you're used to that level of confidence in that system, and then all of a sudden there's no communication in
like,
the system. Walkie-talkie's dead, you know.
Exactly. It's like picking up the phone in the old days. The kids listening, they're like, what are you talking about? It's called a dial tone. Look back in history, you'll figure out what it is. But if you pick up the phone and there's no dial tone, you know you're not using this for communication. Because there's nothing. It's dead. So when Saul picks it up, yes or no? Oh, great, there's no dial tone. That's how he's going to feel. You know, I'm getting no response. I'm getting nothing here. So might as well, I don't know, put something else up to you. You're going to communicate the same way. So here's some more examples of it. In Ezra, we have a group of people. They're returning from exile here. Okay, these people are returning from exile, and they couldn't prove their priestly genealogy. They believe they're in the priestly genealogy. Okay. But you can't prove their genealogy. Remember, they've been in exile. They usually don't keep records when you become a slave in another country. You know, like, so we kidnapped you all, took you from our country, we made you slaves in our country. We're not just going to make sure you can put together your family tree on your wall. We don't care. We just don't care. If they don't care enough to leave you alone, they're going to kidnap you. They probably don't care to help you secure your genealogy. So they get out of it. They're returnees. They're coming back from exile, and they can't prove their priestly genealogy. And because priestly service, and eating like the most holy things, that this is what's going on in the story. You can't eat that because you're not a priest. Oh, yes, I am. I'm of the priestly genealogy. Prove it. Well, I can't prove it to you. How can I prove that to you? So that genealogy was required under the Old Covenant in order to do these things. So the governor puts a hold on everything until a high priest can consult the Urim and the Thummim. We don't know whether we let these people go ahead and do this or not. We don't know their genealogy. So he has to consult. They go wait for the priest to come, and so he can consult the Urim and the Thummim for a clear yes or no from the Lord. God will know their genealogy. There's no way we can know their genealogy, but God's going to remember. You know, he's God. So Ezra 2 in verse 63, it says, "And the governor said to them that they should not eat of the most holy things till a priest could consult with the Urim and the Thummim." So something is happening here where he says there's no way for a man to know whether they're in the right lineage or not. There's just no way. The only answer we can go to, where we know we've got a surefire thing, is the Urim and the Thummim, which still sounds very strange to us today. We just don't do it. We have no description of the protocol of how this works. How did it work? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I wish I did. So what did it do? They provided a divinely sanctioned binary decision. Yes, no, either or. But it was a divine answer. It's one or the other. It's a yes, it's a no, it's an either, it's an or. You know, what do we do here? The point wasn't chance. It wasn't flipping a coin. It wasn't the flower petal system. It wasn't the eeny, meeny, miny, mo's, which are, of course, scientifically proven, methods we use today, but not back then.
Works every time.
It works every time.
Well, it works all right.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's wrong.
Yeah.
So what it is, it's submission to God for the verdict under a theocracy. God's the king. Mm-hmm. God's the one. So we're going to him for the answer. It's a theocracy, which is a good idea if you're serving the one God.
I was going to say, you might as well ask the Creator. He's the one that should know.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Through the Urim and the Thummim. Okay, that's how he chooses to communicate other than prophets and dreams. So only the high priest wearing the ephod was authorized to use these stones. Okay, he was the only one, and it wasn't for fortune telling or anything like that. It was an answer from God. Mm-hmm. And they would go at those times when like, hey, we need an answer from God. So we would go to the priest and like, hey, pull out the Urim and the Thummim. We need an answer from God. He knew exactly what to do. I don't know what he did. The Bible doesn't tell us what he did. But something told them it was from God. So why would God use something like this? It just seems crazy to us. But so does animal sacrifice if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're not under the old covenant. So if you see me walking down the street with a sheep in my hand, you're going to have 20 questions for me.
You got a permit for that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, do you have a permit? Yeah, so, but if you saw me walk into the church holding a sheep in my hands, you're probably going to question. You're not thinking, bet you he's going to sacrifice that sheep. You're going to like, why do you have a sheep? Because we don't run under this same system. We're under the new covenant, not the old covenant. So this thing seems a little sci-fi, a little weird to us. Even the words, Urim and the Thummim.
I've got this picture of like, the Yahtzee barrel. Where you play
to roll the dice? Yeah.
In the high priest. I'm sorry, but this is what I'm.
You're picturing Yahtzee?
Yeah, and it's spinning out. Yes, no.
So, how do you envision this? I mean, we've been talking. I'm sure you guys have a vision of this in your head. Apparently, Rusty is the high priest. Like, hey, if we get all 5 dice on the same number, we know it's a yes.
Yeah.
I got Yahtzee. All right, let's fight. So, Ashton, how have you pictured it? Just out of this is pure curiosity.
What if they were loaded dice?
They're stones. We do know that. Yeah. So
loaded stones.
Loaded stones. Yeah. So
that would be terrible. But I don't. It's.
Have you at least been picturing this or trying?
Yes.
Yeah. What'd you come up with?
Somebody carrying a little pouch around with that, and like, okay, but then. Like, what do you whisper to them? Do you say a little prayer first?
Speak to them.
Do you like? Is there a certain like? What do you do with your hands? Like, is there a certain like ritual type? That's what I'm trying to get.
So your guess is as good as mine. I just found out Rusty believes it was Yahtzee. So
I'm just envisioning Yahtzee,
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was actually a system. So God would use this. He's using this whole system of the Urim and the Thummim, which of course just the words don't fit in my world. But he's accommodating an old covenant era is what he's doing. Remember, the covenant was made for the old covenant. The law was made for the transgression. Mm-hmm. So the law was not used to clean up sin. It was used to regulate sin. Sure. And the system, remember, Jesus Christ has not come. He hasn't died and rose again. And then he didn't leave and send the Comforter to live in each and every one of us. So that's the system we're under today. And that's why this seems so weird.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, it's almost abstract to us. It's just, okay.
Yeah, but I'm guessing if you were to go back in time and speak to them in the Old Covenant and saying, yeah, God just lives in me.
Well, yeah.
They're going to be like, all right, you're a little weird.
Stone the witch.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because it's completely different under that system.
Sure.
That we're talking about an Old Covenant system. So God is accommodating under an Old Covenant system. Israel lived under a mediating priesthood with external signs and sacrifices and stuff like that. Sure. Remember, the sacrifice was an external sign.
Yeah.
The basin that they washed themselves in was an external sign. Not picking up sticks on the Sabbath day. Okay, now we've got an external sign. They had all these external signs and procedures that were under the Old Covenant. God worked within that system to give a public, verifiable way to know that he's guiding you in that system. Remember, everything's external signs. So why not communication too? Because if it was a prophet that was false, they would stone him, right?
Sure.
So a prophet says something like, well, it better come to pass. Otherwise, we'll know that
you're a false prophet.
You're a false prophet. And
hold my rock.
Exactly. So everything they used external signs. God used this. So the covenant was designed with this kind of procedure, with this kind of thing. Sure. So God met them within that framework of the old covenant. It's harder for us to understand because we've never been in that framework. We've been under the framework of the new covenant. So he's giving them a concrete means to seek his will in public matters is what he's doing. So since he doesn't live within each and every one of them, because that didn't happen until after the cross, they would go to the priest and say, hey, I'm seeking the Lord about something. And I don't want it to be your opinion. I really want to know it's an answer from him. So show me the external sign. God gave them the Urim and the Thummim for this purpose. So it makes a little more sense when we put it into the old covenant system. He would also give it to them so they had some clarity and unity as a people. It's a public recognized method to avoid a power struggle. Like who should be our king? This one or that one. Also, it would get rid of the God told me to tell you those claims. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of those today.
Sure do, yeah.
God told me to tell you something. Like, oh yeah, what do you say? And then my question is, why is God not talking to me? And it's a good question today because he lives within me. Yeah. Back then, Saul's like, why isn't God talking to me? Well, he doesn't live within you. And you're on non-speaking terms.
I mean, kind of like where after Samuel had died and Saul was seeking him out, and he went to the witch of Endor.
Right.
That the reason why is because he wanted that confirmation.
Yeah,
that was through Samuel. Yeah.
I need to go somewhere to somebody who can give me confirmation because he didn't have what we have today. Yeah. He did not have that.
So you have the same thing with the
Urim and the Thummim. Yeah. Right. It's the same idea, but that would be a good location to go to for your answer.
Yeah, not the
witch of Endor. Yeah. So this whole thing was temporary by design. We don't have it today. That's why it seems so strange. But sacrifices, priestly garments, and the temple, all of those things were shadows pointing to something in the future. Mm-hmm. So this is also pointing to something in the future, which we are experiencing now. And it's always pointing to something better. The sacrifice, the lambs that were brought to the altar and they were sacrificed, that was a visual, but it's pointing to something better in the future, which we have that, which is Jesus Christ, the perfect sacrifice. So Christ is our high priest, and there's communication to God, but we don't go to the high priest with the Urim and the Thummim. We go directly to Jesus Christ, who is the mediator between God and man.
It's nice having him as an intercessor.
It sure is.
Yes.
We don't have to travel to the temple in Jerusalem and
not at all.
Have the priest talk to rocks. We don't have to do that. But if you think about that, he was working within a covenant that used visual signs,
sure.
Something that types, shadows, pictures. You can see the Urim and the Thummim and say, this wasn't exactly New Age. This wasn't just reading horoscopes or pulling petals off flowers or anything like that. No, this was a proven system. This is something that God used to answer these questions, and it was a visual. So how did it work? Okay, how did it work? Think of like two marked stones, okay, or lots. You see in the Bible where they casted lots. People would cast lots to try to get answers, all right? You see that in Jonah, where the mariners cast lots to find out who did it, and the lot fell on Jonah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, oh, look, that's our guy. So they were seeking an answer of who's causing this storm.
Matthias. Yeah.
Yes, so in the New Testament, yeah. So they would cast lots to try to determine this. What you want to make sure is it's being backed up by God, or otherwise you're just playing poker.
50-50.
Right. You're just like, go fish. Like, I win. What did you win? Well, the winner takes all. Okay, so I get it all. It's basically just a game if you don't have divine backing for this. But God did back this up with his divinity. He would answer this stuff. So think of it like two marked stones kept within the high priest's breastplate. So it's hidden in there. And you ask one clear question. That's just it. Ask one clear question because it's going to be a yes or no or an either the or. Now you draw these stones and you do something. Again, I really wish it could be like casting dice. It could be, I don't know. You could set them down on something and wait. I don't know the process because the Bible does not describe that for us. But you ask for a binary answer. It's a yes or no, or either or, guilty or not guilty, that kind of thing. A binary answer is what you're looking for. And at this point, the answer would be revealed in the Urim and the Thummim. It was public, it was official, it was not private guessing, because the priest isn't the one giving an opinion. It's revealed with the Urim and the Thummim. It's revealed on that. Not him, not human involvement. Something went on with those stones.
And then the whole assembly witnesses this.
Yes, and they know, hey, by the way, we don't do that. God's doing that, and he's giving us an answer one way or the other. The answer would be clear, except for in cases like Saul, where God refuses to speak at all because of his heart. So God gave a clear answer. You're done. We're not even discussing this. I said you're done. You're done. That was it.
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just.
Have we met before?
Yeah, yeah. Well, God. God basically just he does not speak with Saul, and Saul's like, I really want this, and at that point, I'm sure he's feeling so alone. Like God's been there this whole time, and he's used me, and he's done things, and because I become arrogant and defiant, God's like, no, it's humility that I'm looking for, not arrogance, and I'm giving your crown to another. It's going to David. So Saul's probably feeling pretty puny, where God's not even talking to him. Here's what we can safely say about the Urim and the Thummim. And if we can safely say Urim and Thummim, that's the risk right there. But this is what we can safely say. The high priest was the only one. He alone used this. It wasn't something where people say, hey, can I borrow those because I'm looking for an answer. It's the high priest alone that uses this. It produced a clear binary verdict. Guilty, not guilty, yes, no, should we fight, should we not fight, stuff like that. And sometimes the outcome would be no answer at all in cases like Saul. Okay, so it was for national, high stakes decisions, and it is publicly verifiable. Like the public can look at it. It wasn't just, should I have beef or chicken for dinner? It's not. It's nothing like that's private. I'm looking for answers. Should I go to this college, that college? Should I marry this girl, that girl? Kind of things. It's for national decisions, and it's publicly verifiable because of what's happening. Here's a fun, at least an interesting take on this thing. They are two objects used for these answers, is what it is, and a few speculative. I said that right, I believe. It just took me longer to spit it out. A few traditions propose that there was engraved names or letters or something on these stones, which we don't know. We really don't know. But there's the idea that they illuminated, because Urim means lights, and Thummim means perfection or completeness, right? So to say that they would glow. So here, just and this isn't in the Bible. It's just this is just. In studies in history, they would indicate that this is what happened, that it would glow. So in theory, this is just in theory, we're not being dogmatic about this in any way. But stones don't glow. Okay?
Not normally.
Turn them off, turn them on. I don't know what that means. Just they don't do that. So if they were to illuminate, let's say these stones, when you put them together, just touch them together and set them down there, if they glow red, that's a yes. If they glow blue, it's a no. If they don't glow at all, just like any other stone, you don't get an answer at all. Okay? So if we were to assume, which is all we can do with this topic because the Bible doesn't specify how it worked, but you could see, since stones don't glow, that if you were to do that and it did red one time and blue another, red would be yes, blue would be no. Since stones don't glow, God had to activate that illumination, and you would know, hey, that's a divine answer. Should we go to battle? It's red, let's go. And God's the one that answered, because that's something only God could do. So that's the idea, and that's in theory. Again, it's speculating, But it would be something along that line where you know it was a God-given answer, not the priest's opinion or rolling dice or the pedal process. So we don't need the Urim and the Thummim today. We just absolutely don't need that. Under the new covenant, there's no Levitical priesthood. We don't have a priest to go to other than Jesus Christ, who is our high priest. We have permanent access to God because of Jesus Christ. I just sit and talk to him personally. I don't have to go through a priest or anything like that. Jesus is the mediator between God and man. He's the connection between us and God the Father. The Spirit lives in us, and he guides us all the time internally. So we don't need to seek verdicts to get right with God. I don't need to do that. I was made right with God at salvation, not because of anything I did, but because of everything the finished work of Jesus Christ did. He made me right with God. So the Urim and the Thummim were basically just old covenant visuals, because there's so many of those in the old covenant. God uses signs as visuals all the time. You're going to sacrifice the lamb because it's pointing to the perfect Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Okay, we know that's a visual pointing to another thing. It's a shadow, but something in the future is what's casting that shadow back. So the Urim and the Thummim, that's the shadow. What is it? What's casting the shadow? By the way, the answer is always Jesus Christ. If you're taking a test for anybody, the answer is always Jesus. Jesus is casting that shadow. So the high priest, you go to the high priest to get an answer of yes or no from God or whatever. You're going to a high priest for answers to be able to communicate with God. What's casting the shadow? Jesus. He is our high priest, and we can connect directly to God today because his Holy Spirit lives within us. So that's the shadow. Jesus is what's casting the shadow. So when we look at this, it's not New Age and it's not random chance. It's not anything like that in the Bible, but it is a topic that, like you guys said, and by the way, I'm just going to throw myself into the mix here. I never heard a Sunday school lesson on this topic. I never heard a sermon that emphasized the Urim and the Thummim. I'm thinking this topic is what all pastors try to avoid. Like, can't even pronounce it. I'm not going to preach on it.
Well, now I feel better, though, knowing that you and I weren't behind the curve here.
No, we're all in the same boat, guys. I just wanted to reveal mine at the end.
We've held it all.
I sure did. I can't believe it. Now, did I read it in the Bible? Yes, I did, because I have read the Bible through. I read it, and I'm like, okay, cool trick. What's that mean? You know, I don't know. I didn't understand it then, so I had to study it more later on.
Well, yeah, I've been over the book of Exodus, I don't know how many times, and that never did.
Yeah, that's just
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, as you're reading it, like there's two words I have no idea what mean. Let's move on.
Uma Thurman in the Bible.
Uma Thurman. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's obsolete, as well as the old covenant system is obsolete. We don't need that anymore. It's replaced by Christ and His Spirit dwelling in us. Now we have verses like this, James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. Wait, we don't go to the priest? No. Go ahead and talk to God. No glowing stones, no anything like that. It just goes directly to God, because Jesus is what was casting that shadow. So for the New Age argument, when people say, well, that New Age, the Bible's got New Age, this is specifically not New Age. Just we got to keep the Old Covenant in the context of types, shadows, pictures, because that's what God used back then. It was the law was because of the transgression, is what the Bible says. So the law regulated sin, but it could not remove it. It pointed to something later. The Old Covenant pointed to the New Covenant, which the New Covenant is what actually takes care of it, which is Jesus' blood. The New Covenant in my blood. You know, the New Covenant's that. So we have completion. We have access to God. We have everything now. In the Old Testament, they did stuff like this. And what we've got to do is try to twist our minds to understand what life would have been like back then. This isn't a New Age topic. This is something that God used. It's kind of like saying they crossed the Red Sea. Oh, yeah, no problem. We believe that. You know, we don't do that anymore, right? You know, that we don't need that validity that God's doing this. He lives within us. You know, we have so much more than they had. We have something that's so much better than what they had in the Old Testament. But when we understand what life was like under the Old Covenant, there's no comparison between the two. But we have to learn and study so we can better explain topics like this, which does fit within the character of God. He wanted to communicate with mankind. And under an Old Covenant system, this is how he chose to do it. But it is obsolete and it doesn't exist anymore. So if you find them, they might just look like stones. You know, it's not just, there's no power in the stones. It's what God did. So now you guys know about the Urim and the Thummim. You know anything about those? If you don't, I cannot believe. Yeah. If you still don't know anything.
You don't say that in front of his face.
Right. So that's the topic. So let's clear. I mean, by the way, these topics do exist in the Bible. There's so many topics that you're like, what is that talking about? If you would like to know more about even these hard to understand topics, we would love to study that for you. I mean, we encourage you to study it on your own, but please let us join and we'll share. We can make it an episode. What we want people to understand is that so many things are outside of the context of Scripture, and we believe them because, well, somebody told us to believe them. But we don't base it on context. We base it on, well, that guy's a good preacher. You know, let's just follow that guy. But people are burnt on religion and they're hurt. And even this topic that seems to blend with New Age actually happens to be something that has nothing to do with New Age. It happens to deal with a God that really wanted to be intimate with his people. He just wanted to be close. And so he gave them a way that they can know he's the one speaking. It's not New Age. It's not by chance. It's not Ouija boards or anything like that. He gave them something so they can know, hey, by the way, God's backing us up on this, and he's still in communication with us. Today we've got a different covenant. It's amazing what we have. But don't take the old covenant and the new covenant and try to blend them together. That's the new wine in old wineskins picture. It's just going to burst and you're going to make a mess. So don't blend the two, but understand the two. Understand the difference. So we encourage you to do it. Also, write into us. Our website is fully functional. All you got to do is write to questions@burntonreligion.com. By the way, we have noticed that people do put comments on YouTube videos and stuff like that. There's a chance we'll get those, and there's a chance we won't, because we're not always scrolling YouTube to find out things. So the best way to do it is write to questions@burntonreligion.com, and that notifies us personally of what's going on, so we can make it an episode or at least have a conversation with you. Thank you to everybody who's used that. We just encourage other people to do it as well. We're still fourth, guys, as far as state listeners.
Yeah.
There's 50 states, so I guess fourth isn't bad, right?
Yeah.
Also, just want to say hi to Vietnam. They are the top, other than the United States, that's the most listeners out of any country in the world.
Nice.
From us. And I hear there is revival happening over there where people are coming to Christ. So congratulations, guys. Welcome aboard. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
To all the countries that listen, thank you. Please like, share, subscribe. Help us get the word out, because we're just trying to fix this thing that mankind has messed up and get Scripture back home to context. So help us out. We do appreciate what you do. So you guys have anything more to add? Any more cool words? Anything like that? I'll ask you, Rusty. We're not going to allow Ashton to talk anymore because it could get weird.
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, all right.
Covered it.
Urim and the Thummim. Go say that 5 times fast, and we'll just see you next week. Have a good one.